The Choose.
Hey everybody, welcome back to The Choose. I'm Anthony Hahn, and as always, joined here by co-host Brandon Howard.
How's it going, everybody?
Now, before we get too deep into today's episode, we do have some exciting news to share.
We've set up a Discord community.
We quite literally have set up a Discord server for fans of the show and for fans of NASCAR in general. So if you want to check that out, we will have some invite links posted around our social media, maybe our link tree for you. You can check that out on Facebook, X, YouTube links. We're going to try to post a link in the Spotify description. I don't know if that'll work or not, but check around. You'll be able to find one that works. Got plenty of stuff to do in there. Chat rooms for different series, watch party rooms, a place to share NASCAR art, talk about video games, talk about news.
One more announcement for the good of the order. We have 2 episodes out on 4th and Flood. Anthony and I's first episode was out last week, so make sure you guys go check that out if you're interested in football.
Yep. Plenty more where that came from too. Once the NASCAR season wraps up, obviously football will be the main focus.
Yep.
We'll be pretty much full time with it. Also, we're recording this on Kyle Busch Day. I just wanted to throw that out there. Something that we were talking about a little bit on the Discord today was, the Kyle Busch Day, and we kind of talked a little bit, shared some memories. So by the time you guys are watching this, it'll be a day past, but just wanted to put that out there. Happy Kyle Busch Day, everybody. Well, let's get into it. The team that everyone has been paying attention to over the past 9 weeks is putting even more pressure on the rest of the field as Joey Logano continues to put a ferocious attack on the back end of the schedule together, winning at Richmond and climbing up the standings. So how did that happen? Let's talk about it.
All right, stage 1. Ryan Blaney and Chase Briscoe led the field to green at Richmond on Saturday night, with this being Blaney's 4th pole of the season, but more impressively, his 4th pole in the last 5 races. Blaney and Briscoe were door-to-door to start the race, but by lap 8, Blaney was able to clear Briscoe and began pulling away. The lead cars began to separate themselves as guys like Josh Berry and Austin Cindric found their way through the field. Our first round of green flag pit stops began 32 laps into the run, where Ty Gibbs would run into trouble by way of a speeding penalty, wiping out top 5 track position and pinning the 54 team deep in the field. When it was all said and done, Ryan Blaney cycled back through to the lead and would stay there until the caution flew for the end of stage 1, where Ryan Blaney picked up the stage win over Chase Briscoe. Austin Cindric, one of the drivers right around Chase cut line, went from 23rd to 5th in stage 1 to gain some crucial points.
Yeah, and Blaney and Briscoe again led the field to green for stage 2, where Chase Briscoe would jump out to an early lead. Briscoe seemed to have a fast car on short runs, but the deeper into the run we got, speed fell off for the 19. 28 laps later, Ryan Blaney would take the lead back from Chase Briscoe. As the run went on, green flag pit stops were back underway at lap 119, but Zane Smith would end up spinning and backing into the wall on lap 125. Most of the field was making green flag pit stops during that time. The rest of the drivers who had yet to come down pit road, including Chase Briscoe and Joey Logano, came down. They beat Ryan Blaney off of pit road. As we went back to green, Chase Briscoe shot out to a 1.5 second lead, but much like stage 1, the later we got into the run, the more of the handling went away on the 19. Joey Logano cut the gap down and passed Chase Briscoe for the lead on lap 173, right before the pit window opened once again. When it all cycled out, Logano reclaimed the lead over Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin, where he would cruise to his second stage win of the season.
Leading into stage 3, Logano and Hamlin were the first 2 off pit road and led the field back to green in the wildest restart of the day, where Briscoe would take Logano and Hamlin 3 wide as Hamlin fell back and made contact with Josh Berry out of turn 4 and almost sent Berry around into turn 1. As the dust settled further back, Chase Briscoe would take the fight to Joey Logano and come out with the lead after 5 laps of side-by-side action. With 30 laps, Briscoe built up a 2.5 second gap as green flag pit stops began. As Briscoe and the leaders began pitting, a few drivers decided to take a gamble and stay out, including Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell. The gamble would seem to pay off when Carson Hocevar brought the caution out as pit stops were underway due to a misshift, trapping all but 13 cars a lap down. Briscoe and Logano, the 2 best cars all night, led the field back to green with just over 100 laps to go. Briscoe would again jump out to a respectable lead over Joey Logano as pit stops loomed. For most of the field, the second to the last round of pit stops started around lap 322, but Bell, Reddick, and Blaney would again stay out to run long, hoping to make it on just one more stop instead of splitting the final run into 2 stops. The 3 drivers on an alternate strategy had their final pit stops wrapped up 22 laps later as Chase Briscoe retook the lead. In what ultimately became the deciding moment of the race, Joey Logano would pass Chase Briscoe for the... I don't know why I'm struggling with Chase Briscoe's name. For the lead lap on 362. And as Briscoe came to pit road a lap later, crew chief Paul Wolfe brought Joey Logano down to negate any tire advantage Chase Briscoe would look to gain. Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick would take control of the top 2, but with a significant tire deficit, Logano and Briscoe were able to easily work around the 2 drivers on the alternate strategy, but it wasn't over yet for Joey Logano, as Chase Briscoe, I just can't say his name today, and the 19 team finally found the right adjustment to gain speed during the long run. Briscoe began closing on Logano, but it was too little too late as Joey Logano came to the line to win at Richmond.
Yeah, pretty good race. I think I saw something where we had like 24 lead changes, maybe even more than that throughout the race, which was the most that we've seen at Richmond, I think, since 2024 and in one of the top 5 all-time races. But obviously, we talked about it in the start of the show, and as we get closer to the chase, we're only 2 races out now. The points picture is wild. There's movement all over the place. The most significant mover this week, obviously, Joey Logano. Now he's up 4 spots, sitting in that 9th place position with just 2 races left to the chase. He is, almost without a doubt in. There are 7 drivers who are officially locked into the chase, that being the top 7 of Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Ty Gibbs, Tyler Reddick, Chase Briscoe, Chase Elliott, and Christopher Bell. Guys like Larson, Logano, Buescher, even Hocevar, really, they're pretty much all but locked in. Mathematically, they can still be eliminated, but a lot of those guys are safe. Where the questions start to arise is, I think, from 13th on back. You've got Daniel Suarez, Bubba Wallace, Austin Cindric, SVG. Those are the last 4 guys in right now. And then you look further back, we've got Ryan Preece sitting there in 17th. He is only, I believe, 50 points back from SVG. Ross Chastain's been making some noise. He's back there in 18th. I think it is going to be pretty hard for any of the guys in the top 16 right now to miss the chase. I just don't see Preece or any of those guys overcoming that big of a gap, but it still can happen. I would even go as far as to say that Daniel Suarez is probably safe. Bubba Wallace is probably safe. The only 2 that I have questions about are Austin Cindric and SVG, but even then, I think it's going to take a significant bad day for either one of them to miss out. Joey Logano, just to bring him back up, he went from 20th in points to 9th in points in just 6 races.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, talk about getting hot at the right time in the season. And we were ready to kind of write him off. I remember talking a few weeks ago.
We said he might drop out.
Yeah. We said, look, the Fords, we talked about it, they just didn't have speed. And now this back end of the season, they're coming to life. We wrote Joey Logano off. We knew it was an even year, and we still wrote him off. And, here he is. And, truth be told, I think he's the hottest guy heading into the chase with the runs that he's been having and the things that he's been able to point together. Not only his gap from the cut line at 16th when we started, at North Wilkesboro, he's made up not only that gap, but he's made up a gap to Denny Hamlin, the points leader. As a matter of fact, I think Joey Logano has made up more points on the leader than a lot of these guys. He's scored more points in the past 6 races than I think anybody has. So they're doing things right. In terms of who I think actually has the best odds to win the championship, I still think you have to be around that top 8. If Logano stays around 9th or 10th, I think you have to look at him too. But realistically, I think the top 8 are going to have the best chance at it. Austin Cindric, huge day at Richmond, like we talked about. That gives him that 1 position buffer to the cut line. He did almost have a collision with Daniel Suarez on pit road Saturday night. He came back from that to finish 3rd. Huge moment in retrospect. That could have been a day ender for him. Now they're sitting pretty, 1 spot above the cut line. Good little gap there.
Yeah, at the number 1 spot, Denny Hamlin. It's going to take a miracle for anybody to take the regular season title from him. He's built such a large gap, and I think he's got number 1 locked. So
yeah, I think he's got over a 100-point gap to Ryan Blaney right now, a 115-point gap from Hamlin to Blaney. So, yeah, as long as he keeps it all together and keeps it in one piece, I think, it's going to be very, very hard for anybody to snatch that one spot from him. We do have some other news from throughout the week. One that I want to really talk about, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into this later on. Immediately following the race in Richmond, Kyle Larson got on a private plane and set off to Iowa for the Knoxville Nationals, where he would go on to lead every lap and win the 65th running of the event. Pretty impressive stuff.
Yep. Other news, Josh Berry, he's still in search for a ride for 2027. He put up another stellar performance that is sure to turn some heads. Stage points in both stages along with 8th place finish. So, I mean, making a little bit of a statement saying, hey, keep your eyes on me.
Yeah, 3 top 10s in a row for Josh Berry. They're coming to life at the right time. And, with some kind of questions up in the air about maybe where Austin Hill really ends up next season, there might be an opening at RCR is what I'm hearing. Could be something to keep note of, especially with how Josh Berry has been running recently. Noah Gragson and Front Row Motorsports agreed to an extension, likely shutting the window on a possible Lane Riggs Cup Series ride next season. I know that's something we talked about maybe being a possibility, and Noah Gragson was even possibly being linked to Richard Childress, but none of that happening, it seems, in 2027 as Noah Gragson and FRM agree to terms. Noah Gragson will be back in the 4 next year.
Yep, and as predicted, North Wilkesboro Speedway has officially been announced as the All-Star race for 2027. That's pretty exciting. There's a good race there this just a few weeks ago. It'll be a triple-header weekend as the O'Reilly Series and Truck Series will support the points races that same weekend. So we get another North Wilkesboro race coming up.
Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed, though. As glad as I am that North Wilkesboro is still going to be on the schedule. We talked about it that 30 years they went without a points race, and we finally got the first points race at North Wilkesboro this season. And, I thought it put on a really good show. Now it's been moved back to the All-Star race. I don't know. There's been a lot of people that have said that they don't really like that move, and I'm one of them. I think if they're going to have an All-Star race, I think it ought to be in Charlotte. I think that they realistically, though, let's just scrap the All-Star race and add, a 37th points race.
Wait, so does that mean that it's not a points race?
No, it is not a points race. The All-Star race is for $1 million. Winner take all, nothing else matters.
Okay, maybe I guess maybe I don't like that then. At first, I thought it was saying that it was like we were getting another points race because I guess I just misunderstood. But okay,
yeah, no, the O'Reilly Series and the Truck Series, they will have points races that weekend. It'll be the triple header,
not the Cup Series.
Yeah, not the Cup Series though.
Gotcha. Okay, well, yeah, that is kind of disappointing actually.
Yeah,
because that was a cool race. It was a cool location. So
yeah, old school.
Yeah,
return to the roots, man. I liked it. I hope they find their way back to a points race sometime soon. A little bit more news. One of the coolest stories of the week. M&M's announced that they will be coming back to Joe Gibbs Racing for a one-off race at Bristol Motor Speedway in September, partnering with Ty Gibbs to honor Kyle Busch at what was one of his favorite tracks on the schedule. The car will sport the classic M&M's paint scheme that Busch saw so much success in, with a collage of Kyle's best and most important moments at Joe Gibbs Racing. Ty Gibbs won his first career race earlier this year at Bristol and will look to become the first driver to sweep the season at Bristol since Kyle Busch did it in 2009.
Yep, and quite possibly the biggest news of the week and maybe the biggest piece of silly season news this year, it's official that Connor Zilisch and Hendrick Motorsports have agreed to a contract that will see Connor Zilisch take over the number 48 starting in 2028. The news comes as no surprise to most, as this has been the rumor for quite some time now. The biggest takeaway from this news is the aftermath, as questions are beginning to arise as to what Trackhouse will do with their third charter. RFK is still interested in securing a third charter, and Rick Ware Racing seems to have no plans to sell theirs.
Yeah, and with the Zilisch news, we also learned that other teams are looking into SVG if he ever becomes available, and Ross Chastain is a hot commodity as well. Only time will tell what happens from here, but losing one of the biggest prospects in the past 20 years will almost certainly lead to some sort of shakeup for Trackhouse. and we don't know what that is. Right now, Justin Marks is saying that he's committed to keeping that third charter and that they're committed to trying to fill that seat for the 88 in 2028. But, that could all just be smoke. I think now would be a great time to sell that charter off. Not now, but in 28 when this all unfolds. I just look at how Trackhouse has been ever since they added a third car. They're trying to expand too fast. They need to pull their resources together and focus on 2 cars. That was the last time that we saw Trackhouse be truly competitive outside of the road courses, was when they were a 2-car team the year that Ross Chastain made the Final Four. Ever since then, I just haven't seen enough speed out of them, and I think that they're being stretched too thin. Sell that charter off. I don't even know how much charters are going for, but millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. Get that money, invest it back into the team, build back up from there. That's what I would do. We're still not sure what Trackhouse will do, but I think that's realistically their best case moving forward. All right, Brandon. Let's talk about Kyle Larson. As we talk about the future, I think it's time to bring his name up. Truth be told, I'm starting to question his commitment and focus to his Cup Series job. The wins just aren't coming for him anymore. And while I think, okay, he can end this drought and return to the Kyle Larson that we once knew, I just don't know if he's having fun with it anymore. Kyle Larson is one of the greatest sprint car drivers that ever lived. And I have to wonder at some point if he'll decide to just chase that dream full time. Obviously does a lot of dirt racing. Ever since he came over to Hendrick started letting him do more dirt racing. And I mean, he was winning multiple races a week on dirt, coming to the NASCAR Cup Series, whooping everybody's ass in the Cup Series, just winning everything. Now he's still doing the dirt. He's still getting the wins on dirt, but I just think something's not right on the Cup side of things. And again, I just don't think he's having fun with it.
Maybe too much on the plate.
Yeah, and it might be, he loves doing these sprint car races. He loves doing these dirt races. I think he's a guy that loves the dirt tracks with a full-time job is what it feels like to me. And I didn't know if maybe it was just me that thought this, and me and my dad were talking, and my dad kind of brought it up too. And we said, where does he go from here? Maybe he does go dirt racing full time. I believe he's got a contract that expires in 2031. I think he'll be 39 years old by then. I think if he's not retired by then, and it's crazy to talk, 5 years out, but I think if he's not retired by then, that will almost certainly be the bookend of his Cup Series career. But I really have to wonder what is in store for the future here, especially if the wins don't start to come. I mean, I know he's the defending Cup Series champion, but I don't know. I just truly don't know that he enjoys doing the Cup Series as much as he does doing dirt racing. And I mean, he's got all the money that he needs. The talent's not a problem. Getting sponsorships isn't the problem. Doing it is not a problem. I mean, he's shown that he can do it before. I don't know. I think that more than likely he will end up switching to sprint cars and cars full time.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if it's a love thing. I don't know. Maybe we'll get some answers here coming up this off season. But either way, I mean, even though he's had a lot of top 10, top 5 finishes, this is not how you want your season to go, So still no wins. I mean, what's the significance of that Knoxville race? Is that just like
that is one of the biggest dirt races of the year.
Gotcha. And he won that. So he's obviously, I don't know, man. I mean, maybe you're right. I mean, if you have this losing streak and then you go to a different type of race and win it, I don't know. I guess that very, very well could be the case. Because, I mean, I know we were asking questions about, like, was there something going on with the crew? Is there something going on with the manufacturer? Is he just not there mentally? Whatever. What is it? Whatever we were speculating a lot on what could be causing the losing streak, and I don't know. Maybe he's just not hungry for it anymore. He got his championship, and maybe he just wants to go back to what his first love was.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, because it just feels like Kyle Larson is committed to the Cup Series, but I mean, who's to say that he isn't just kind of getting tired of it and isn't getting ready to, hang it up and go race sprint cars full time and do all that? He's done everything that he needs to do in the Cup Series. He doesn't have anything to prove. He's a multi-time, two-time champion, rookie of the year in 2014. He's won, I think, like 39 races or so. He's got a very impressive resume. I don't know. Maybe there's just nothing left that he feels like he has to do in the Cup Series. I don't know. With Connor Zilisch coming to Hendrick in 28, and with Corey Day still being a Hendrick guy, and you're kind of wondering where he goes. It makes me kind of wonder if maybe there's a path there for Corey Day to end up in the 5 car in the not so distant future. Who knows? So by this point in the episode, we were getting ready to wrap things up. For whatever reason, we lost like the last 5 minutes of the episode. But basically, all the other things that we had to talk about, we speculated a few weeks ago that NASCAR more likely than not would not be coming back to the Chicago street course and instead going to Chicagoland Speedway. That has been confirmed as of today. No Chicago street course. San Diego will be on the schedule, so we will still have one street course. I think that's the perfect number. I think 2 street courses is too many. I like where we're sitting at 1, and I'm very excited for Chicagoland Speedway to be coming back. That put on a pretty good race this year. It's put on plenty of good races in the past, and like we said, also a few weeks ago, this car puts on better racing at 1.5 mile tracks than it does anywhere else. So it's going to be a very, very good race, I think, next year. Also, of course, we had to go into our picks. The theme and the motto for the 22 team over the past couple of weeks has been: do not let them get hot at the right time. They are hot. It's the right time. New Hampshire has been statistically a very good track for Joey Logano and the Fords in general over the past couple of years. I see no reason to believe that things are going to change there. I think Joey Logano is my guy for New Hampshire next week. He'll go back-to-back. I think he's going to keep this hot streak going heading into the chase. And truthfully, I think he's one of the ones that we've got to watch for the championship here in about 12 weeks. Brandon also picked Joey Logano. And then we were ready to sign off. I think we did have a couple other things to talk about towards the end of it. Just a shorter episode this week. We had technical difficulties getting started. And then obviously the last few minutes we did lose. So it was a shorter episode this week. Hopefully next week we've got a little bit more to talk about. We can get back to a full-length episode. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like we said at the start of the show, check those links, check around social media and everything for our Discord links. We will have that posted. We'd love to get more people in there. And then, we have race pools and suggestion rooms and all sorts of things. So by joining that Discord, you could get your name mentioned on the show. You could help us find things to talk about. We can get some fan input for discussions and things of that nature. But like we said, that's all for this week. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye-bye.